What you have in California is these mealy-mouthed, kale-eating, broccoli-pushing, Birkenstock, whatever, wearing politicians who can't find another person fast enough to blame. My absolute favorite, though, is the fire chief. She's growing on me. When she's not focusing on her lesbianism, she's actually quite fierce. She is not going down without bringing Mayor Karen Bass with her. And who could blame her? All right, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We begin with California Governor Gavin Newsom, who spent the weekend trying to avoid responsibility as the fires were still burning by dropping by the Pod Save America podcast for an attempt to clean up his own image.
I want to know the answers. So I'm the governor of California. I want to know the answer. I've got that question. I can't tell you about how many people, what happened. My own team saying what happened. And I want to get the answers. And
You're the governor.
They wasn't getting straight answers.
Yeah.
I watched the press conference. I met with some of those leaders. We had my team start talking to local leaders, saying what's going on. Our state.
And you weren't getting straight answers from
I was getting
leaders.
different answers. When you start getting different answers, then I'm not getting the actual story.
So you decided the thing to do would be to go on Pod Save America to talk about it, because it's in the end, it's all about you. This is another David Muir, folks. He is just as vain and worried about his image in the middle of this emergency as David Muir with his little fake fireman's jacket and clothespins in the back. It's the same person. The same person. Though I have to say Gavin Newsom's probably a little smarter than David Muir, but that's, the bar is very low. Listen to this. He goes out there. Hold on a second. Do we have it here? It's SOT 4. It's Gavin Newsom talking on Pod Save America. No. Is it Pod Save America? Yeah. It's on Pod Save America about it. To me, it's like a Hillary Clinton moment. You know, when she went, she was like, the flames were licking me as I rushed across the airport. And then Cheryl Atkinson came out, who had been there reporting on this visit that Hillary Clinton was doing for CBS, and showed absolutely nothing happened at the airport. She was totally fine. But the drama, it's very image serving. The drama that Gavin Newsom was basically almost burned alive, the governor of California. Take a listen.
We went up to one of the canyons on the fire, sitting there feeling we're a good quarter mile away. I'm not making this up, video to bear it out. All of a sudden, we see an ember, hits the tree goes on fire, 100 seconds. God is my witness, may have been 90 seconds. The house is in flames. I have embers of flames. They're taking it off my hair, and we're running back into the car. Winds are swirling around. Garbage cans were in the air, and we were getting the hell out of there.
Okay, why is he saying, as God is my witness, and I'm not making this up before he tells the story? Truly, like, can I see the video? Can I see the embers in your hair? I mean, I've got questions, sir. I don't find you to be a truth teller. Based on a long, long history of your lies. But seriously, who stops? Can you imagine if Ron DeSantis in the middle of responding, not in the middle of responding, in the middle of the hurricane devastating his state, swinging over to talk with the guys at Ruthless about like how it affected him? I got super wet. The rain came down, got in my hair, and then my hair got blown too. Not making this up. Hand to God. There's videotape of it. The press would be excoriating him. But Gavin Newsom, let's talk about my hair. Did I manage to work my hair into the conversation or not? There's a lot to get through today, and we're thrilled to do it today with Stu Burguiere. He's the host of Stu Does America for BlazeTV. Stu, welcome back.
Hey, Megyn, how are you?
Great. So the important thing is, how is his hair? Did it or did it not have embers in it? And you tell me what the answer is to my question about what the press would be doing to Ron DeSantis if he swung by the Ruthless podcast in the middle of the hurricane. The fires are still burning. There's zero purpose in going on Pod Save America other than to burnish his own image.
And of course, that's all he cares about, right? That's why he tells this harrowing story of the embers landing in his hair, which we know has to be false, because if an ember hit his hair with the amount of product he has in it, it would set the entire shoreline on fire.
Makes no sense.
This can't possibly be a true story from Gavin Newsom. But that is all Gavin Newsom cares about, is his image. He's immediately gone into this defensive mode where he's trying to blame everybody else as if he had nothing to do with the idea of having water to put out fires. And as if that was a strange concept. Like, who could have possibly known that a fire could happen? Who could possibly know that the Santa Ana winds would come back? Who could possibly know that we might need water if those two things combine? And that's one of the things when you talk about DeSantis, he wouldn't be interested in that. I mean, I think one of the things that's interesting about DeSantis nationally is a lot of people have this idea that he is always involved in culture war issues. And he does care about those things, right? He does care about wokeness. He does care about righting those wrongs. And that's good, in my view. But really the reason why he was so popular, this all happened before COVID. He was really popular. Before these culture war issues were widely known, because he took as a priority the idea of competent governance and being able to defend against what is really the main concern of a lot of people in Florida, which is, God forbid, a hurricane comes, what do we do? There's a massive natural disaster. What do we do? Are we going to be prepared for it, or is it going to roll out of control like what we're seeing in California? Every single part of Ron DeSantis' job has been to be prepared for those moments. The people of Florida who are residents there, even if they hate his politics on other issues, know he does that stuff well and are willing to put him back in office, whether they agree with him on wokeness or not, because he's doing the types of things that are baseline requirements of any competent person. He is making sure they are prepared. He's making sure those trucks are lined up before the storm hits. He knows exactly what he's doing. He explains it to the people, and it gets done properly.
Remember, he pre-stationed all the electrical workers in the danger areas before the hurricane hit. And this is the same thing. They knew the Santa Ana winds were going to be up to 100 miles an hour before Karen Bass left for Ghana, which now the LA Times is reporting that when she ran for mayor, because she'd been flitting about the world when she'd been a U.S. Congresswoman, including over to Africa many times, she promised the citizens of LA she would not take any international trips. She said, don't worry, not only will I be living in Los Angeles, but I will not leave Los Angeles on any international trips if I become mayor. And what did she do? She went to Ghana. Why? It was something super important, something she really needed to get. No, she was a damn boondoggle. Like she had to be there for the inauguration of the leader. Who gives a shit whether we have an LA mayor at the inauguration in Ghana? I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyway, okay, so she is totally incompetent, and they'd been warned. She'd been warned, her office had been warned, and the citizens of Los Angeles had been warned that these Santa Ana winds were going to be very dangerous and that there was a supremely high risk of fire. Did she pre-position, the electrical workers, the firefighters? Did she bring in tanks and tanks of extra water? Did she make sure the reservoirs were filled? Did anybody under her do that? Did Gavin Newsom? No one did any of that, Stu.
Megyn, she didn't even pre-position herself. She was in Ghana. I mean, she's created a situation where the tragedy is so deep in her own city that Ghana actually looks pretty good to a lot of the residents. And that is quite the heavy lift for someone in America to pull off. It's shocking. I mean, and we see what happens when people do prepare. We've seen private individuals who've been able to protect their property. It's a very difficult thing to do on a larger basis, of course, but you can do it. This is something that was known. And that's the biggest issue here, is that every explanation for what has occurred points to these politicians, every single one of them, with the exception of climate change. And the reason why they're all going down this road of climate change as the excuse for what has occurred is because it's the only thing that doesn't point to them. It's the only thing that instead points to some mom in Ohio in her minivan trucking her kids around to soccer practice. It's her fault. It's not my fault. It's their fault. They can point to anyone else. They are in a situation where the only escape route is to blame a 0.9 degree Celsius temperature rise over a century. That's all they have. And so that's the direction they're going, because it's not one of these situations where you can blame Donald Trump. Sure, they might say that in passing, and that's usually their catch-all for everything. But this is a situation where Democrats have run the state. Democrats have run this city forever. They've had occasional Republicans who have been in office who are very, very moderate and honestly big-time environmentalists anyway, who have been over there. This has been in control by these hardcore environmentalists this entire time. They've implemented all of these policies, and this is the result of it. And the only person to blame is themselves, so they got to blame, invisible gases.
Gavin Newsom is now writing to the Department of Water and Power and to LA Mayor Karen Bass, demanding an investigation. He writes, I request that the Water Department and LA County officials swiftly prepare a comprehensive review examining their local preparation, underscore local, because the state preparation, trust me, it was absolutely perfect. Local preparation and response procedures to ensure available water supply for emergencies and document any causes of the loss of water pressure and unavailability of water supplies. Fully and transparently, please share the information and records, blah, blah, blah. Babylon Bee comes out. This is actually, this was, prescient because this is a January 2022 headline, but it's perfect for that letter I just read, which just came out on Friday. Gavin Newsom demands answers from whoever's in charge of California. Exactly right. So now he wants an after-action review. This is he is pretending like there is just complete separation of church and state here. He had absolutely nothing to do with it. Like if there's a local government that the governor really, his hands are tied. He can do nothing to prepare for an emergency, nor to address it after the fact. All he can do is just demand answers like Stu Burguiere and Megyn Kelly, as observers outside the realms of power.
It's insane. I mean, here's a guy who is governed in a way that is incredibly invasive into the people's lives of everyday Californians. He's tried to control every aspect of people's businesses. He's tried to shut them down. Not, of course, the French Laundry where he was out eating, but he's tried to shut down businesses. He's tried to require them to take medications they may or may not want. He's tried to do literally everything to control their life on a daily basis, but he has no control whatsoever, no impact, no influence whatsoever over all of these towns and whether they have any water available in their fire hydrants.
Some therapists say that debt can make people feel desperate and helpless. I mean, we don't need a therapist to tell us that. That's obviously true. It can ruin your sleep. It can creep into your relationships. It can wreck your happiness. But there are ways to get help. You don't have to just sit and suffer alone and in silence. Let me tell you about Done With Debt. They have aggressive new strategies to end your debt fast. Done With Debt stands between you and your harassing bill collectors. They tirelessly negotiate to slash balances, eliminate interest, and stop the crushing penalties, all without loans or bankruptcy. Done With Debt has one goal: to wipe out your debt for good. Before you make another payment, consider a visit to donewithdebt.com. Speak with one of their strategists for free and tell them I sent you. But you do need to hurry because some debt solutions are time sensitive and you don't want to miss out. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.